Hello, hello. So, how was that? That was good, right? So, Winamp has been like one of the you can say key software that we've always used for music. Like if you were born in 90s or even like 2000s, Winamp is what we grew up with. So, I just made this like I'm making this impromptu video to talk about like how I made this happen. So forgive me, like I'm not going to get into too much details, but hopefully you are able to make this yourself at home, like after this video. So I'm going to link out all the files that I used and like all the instructions and everything as well. So I got this board a few days ago, which is like this ESP32 matrix from Waveshare. So what this essentially has is it has all of these LEDs on board plus like the obviously the ESP32S3 chip. It also has an attitude sensor as they call it, which is essentially a 3-axis accelerometer plus a 3-axis gyroscope in one if you want to use it. But essentially it has the LEDs mounted, it has the ESP32 chip, and it has a bunch of free GPIOs. So you can do various things. Basically, you can connect various things to this board and then control those LEDs in different formats. What I also wanted to do was like where I started off with is essentially not having the Winamp thing in mind at all. Like I just wanted to basically try out this project called WLED. What this project does is it basically takes out all the pain of coding these things out, all the basic stuff out. So it essentially controls your ESP32 chip, and it what it does is it essentially does all the Wi-Fi settings, all the basic bring up of the chip and everything else. And it has a lot of LED functions built in that you can just go to the configuration, then use them. And then you can just light up the LEDs and use it any way you want it. One key thing when you're using this particular board with WLED is it by default has the GPIO 16 configured in the software. But what we are going to use is GPIO 14. That's what the board comes hardwired with. So GPIO 14 is what is connected to the LEDs data out. What I also wanted to do was not just use the basic LED mechanisms. I wanted to make it like a sound reactive kind of an installation, so it can hear what's going on and then it can actually take action on them. So WLED comes with support for that as well. But what it suggests is like there are different kinds of mics available, analog mics, digital mics, and everything else. So it suggests that you use a digital mic, which is like typically you can use something called an I2S mic. I2S is you can say a serial wire format over which you can send digital signals. Typically we use it for audio. So there is a very common and cheap mic which is available in the market, which is INMP 441 chip. It's based on this particular chip. So if you look at here, it says 441. So there are various different formats available, but you will find this one particularly easily available in the market. So you can buy one of those chips, one of these boards from anywhere in the market for like it'll be probably like a couple of dollars or somewhere thereabouts. In India, essentially, I got it for close to around 200 rupees or something. What I also did was like WLED comes with two methods of installation. You can use it either via their browser-based installation or you can compile it and use it. When I used their browser-based installation, it was not working. It was just going into boot loops. So what I did was instead of using the official WLED install method, you can go to this page called wledinstall.github.io. The benefit of this is like you can change the language to English. The benefit of this is it has lots of different options. So I'm wondering like whether the official one was trying to install a wrong image or something else was going on. But here, what I did was I installed this 15.1 beta 2 and I used this ESP32S3 4 MB flash with audio reactive user mod method. I am imagining that maybe the issue could also be that it was trying to flash maybe a 16 MB version or an 8 MB version, which will not work with this particular board because it has only 4 MB flash on board. But after installing through this, like this is very simple. You just connect the board via your USB to your PC, come here and then like select this and press install. Now, after you do that, it will flash the chip and ask for the Wi-Fi configuration. So you don't even need to, like in the official install method, you have to connect to the chip itself directly and then set up the Wi-Fi configuration, everything. Here, basically, it'll ask you for the Wi-Fi info beforehand when you're installing. After, like, just as soon as the install is done, and then it'll set that configuration as well. Make sure that you use a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, because this board, just like the ESP32 chip, essentially cannot connect to a 5 gigahertz version, except like they are coming out with a new chip which will have 5 gigahertz support as well, but this one doesn't. Once that is done, the thing that you need to do is you need to connect this mic to the board. So what you'll need to do is, if you look at the chip's pin here, so you need to connect the VDD pin of the mic to 3.3 volts output, which is present on the board. Don't connect it to the 5 volt one. The mic needs 3.3 volts as the voltage. So this is the pin number 3, if you see on the left. GND connected to GND, again, just G pin. LR, you can either connect it to the ground, again, G, or you can leave it unconnected. I left it unconnected. ST, you need to connect it to any free GPIO. Like, for example, here in the diagram it shows, say, 35, but you can connect it to any free GPIO. ST is essentially the actual data pin where the information for what the LEDs are supposed to do, which LED is supposed to glow up, which color, and all of that information basically goes out on this. SCK is the clock signal, again connected to any free chip, free pin on the board. For example, here it is connected to 34. And then WS, you can connect it to any free GPIO again. This is 33. WS is basically word select. You don't even need to know about it, but essentially what it does is it tells that in the pulse which word is used for which kind of signal. So some internal data about the way that I2S behaves, but you don't need to worry about it. So once you have done this, right, and you have installed WLED and everything, and you have connected the USB. After that, you don't even need to connect it to the USB of your PC. Like, once the installation is done, you can connect it to any USB for just power, right? The USB initially was needed for installation, but after that, it's fine. Once you're done with that, you can open up, like, you'll need to find out what is this IP essentially on your network where this got connected to your Wi-Fi, the board. So this is basically what the board says. Like, this is the web page that is being served by the board itself. Here, there are few things that you'll need to do. First thing is go to config, right? So we have already done the Wi-Fi setup, so we don't need to go in there again. But first thing is LED preferences. If you go here, you'll see that your LED might not be glowing. You can also control the current and everything. Like, for example, I've made this much lesser so that it doesn't burn down my LEDs. So one of the common problems, for example, for this board is if you drive it too high, then it has a chance of burning out the LEDs, and then essentially it stops working. So I've like limited the current here so that it doesn't get too bright. But there are other brightness settings also that you should control. But the main thing here that you need to look at is this pin number. Like I said, this is by default 16. You need to change it to 14. When you come in here for the first time, this might not be available at that time. It might show, if you try to put in 14, it might show up as red. Because if you go back and go to user mods, this pin is by default being used by this audio user mod. So what you should do is you should change this pin configuration here. Set this to type to generic I2S, set the ST, WS and SCK pins to whatever you chose here. Save the configuration, go back, and now in the LED preferences, you should be able to change this to 14. Another thing that you should do is you should go to 2D configuration, and by default this is set to 1D strip, because this is mainly people use it for a long strip kind of a configuration. So we are using it in a 2D matrix configuration, so we'll set it to 2D. And then the other thing is this first LED, you can say that like which one you consider as the first LED where the pattern should start as any. Like, you can essentially select any that you want based on like how you have placed the chip, like the display whenever you're trying to use it. And you can also change the orientation as well. There are like tons and tons, hundreds and hundreds of settings here, but these are the main ones that you need to change before you can start using them. And you can play around with lots of different settings. And same thing for like, now you are in the place where you can set up effects. So what we are interested in, you can play with lots of different effects, but we are interested in the audio ones. So what we'll do is we'll select this frequency. You can also select this one, like, but this is a very basic one, which only measures the volume, like high or low volumes. This one will actually try to do some analysis on what frequencies are being there. Like if you have seen the equalizer or a visualizer on a display, like when music is playing. So if you have like a bass line or like low frequencies going on, something else will light up. If there is a say a high frequency thing going on, then something else will light up. So this will let you do that, right? And then you can also select 2D, because basically we have a matrix, and then you can select like these are the 4 effects which are in there. So I'm using this graphic equalizer effect there. And that's about it. Like once you do this, like you can save this configuration, reset it, make sure that you're not using the brightness as the max for this particular board. Like if you go to the max again, there's a chance that the LEDs might burn out. So you should keep it somewhere around like max 120, 150, but it is. So once I was done with the basic circuit and everything, like I was thinking about like what should I do with it. Somebody gave me an idea, like why not convert this into a Winamp visualizers. So earlier, actually, I was building something else. I was building like a robot kind of a thing, that the robot will be sitting in front of your TV doing like the the health sign and everything else, and then like I would just put in the visualizer there. But the Winamp thing like sounded much better. So what I actually did was I then went to Maker World. I figured out a few different designs, but all of them were like pretty complicated, lots of different parts, and the way that they did things were not really great. And I couldn't fit this particular chip in there anyways. So what I did was like I designed something of my own. So you can see the timeline going around right now on the video. So what this did was essentially I created this space where earlier there used to be a little kind of a visualizer there in Winamp, and it used to show the time remaining and those things. I took out that space and then took an image of the old Winamp, you can say classic skin, and then try to recreate it as much as possible. Right, and then essentially I think like within an hour or so I was able to get a reasonably okay looking kind of an image out there, and then it took around 3 hours or 3.5 hours to print, and then I created some space at the back where I could fit the mic, and I tried with a diffuser in the front, so you'll see that video at the end like with the diffuser, but then I realized that with the diffuser it was not really actually giving that retro feel. And the video that you saw in the beginning of this, at the beginning of this video itself, so I removed that diffuser so that you can see the raw LEDs, and that gives a much nicer feel. Yeah. There's something else that you need, and then if there is any question or something that I missed out. Oh, by the way, yeah, that's the thing in the background, and you can see like as I'm speaking, so it is actually capturing even my voice there and like glowing up. Yeah, but if you have any questions, just let me know, and then I can try to answer. Until next time, bye-bye.